Thank you. Can I get a show of hands really quick in the audience of who's under 18? Under 18. Wow, that's a lot of people. I'm glad there are a lot of youth in the audience. So keep your hands up. Of you, which of you have a Facebook account? How about Twitter? Google Plus? Yeah, man, I like that. So Facebook was obviously a lot of people, right? And that's really the focus of my discussion. I believe that social networking can have a pivotal role in the learning process. So at this time, I would like to ask that you turn your cell phones on. If at any time during this you would like to tweet something interesting you heard, check in at the historic Coconut Grove Theater on Facebook, or Instagram me giving this amazing talk, please do so. I strongly encourage it. Social networking, the power of social networking, I believe, is vast. However, there are steps that have to be taken, and as a society, we have to plan for the future, keeping social networking in mind. But before you take my advice, it's important that you know who I am. So there's a picture of me. My name is Purag Moumdjian. I am a freshman at Avison Global Leadership Academy. I've been at the school for 5 years, and I am a web designer. In fact, I was commissioned to design the website for this event. Being at Avison has allowed me to find my passion, and that includes the global competencies. I'm huge on these competencies, and of course they are investigate the world, weigh perspectives, communicate ideas, and take action. I believe that these should be the model for learning everywhere. Even before I was at Avison, I was making websites, and being at the school has caused me to see the true potential in my passion. In the 1960s, we were gifted with a gateway through which we could know everything there is to know about anything, through which we could identify every unique perspective and study them, through which we could communicate our ideas to the entire world, and through which we could organize ways to make a difference and to take action. This gateway, the internet, is to me the greatest invention to ever come out of mankind, even greater perhaps than the wheel and democracy. We say that we're undergoing a technological revolution, and that we're in the age of the internet. Sure, it was in the past decade that we saw some of the greatest advancements in the technology industry. But I think that something that's more important than that is the role that social networking has in our everyday lives, especially in youth. Recently, as Ramesh pointed out in his talk, we've seen social networking to be an agent for social revolution. Facebook and Twitter were huge players in the Middle East. They were catalysts for the Arab Spring. For this reason, among many others, I find myself fascinated with the concept of social networking. For example, if an earthquake happens in Chile, we'll know in seconds. If a tsunami happens in Japan, we'll know in mere minutes. We can communicate instantly to the entire world. So what to do with this extremely powerful tool? The only logical thing would be to make sure the youth, our generation, knows how to use it. The question then becomes, how can we use it in the learning process? Because throughout our entire lives, we never stop learning. At first, there was no answer. A long time passed, about a decade, and now it's more obvious. But the truth is, the answer was in front of us the whole time. Technology, social networking, has the biggest impact in the educational world. The internet and social networking was the last piece of that puzzle. I believe that the only way to prove that you know something, to prove that you've learned something, is to be able to teach it to others. Social networking and social media allows you to teach what you know to the entire world. That's the difference between memorizing and taking notes and actually learning. In school, I think it's extremely important that you find your passion, as Brandon pointed out. And I think you need to find a balance between pursuing education, between pursuing your passion and your academics. Here's someone who may be sort of closer to his passion, and he found that through education. He feels chained down by his student loan debt. I think it's extremely important as well to become a global citizen. And of course, a global citizen embodies the global competencies. I think it's important to write essays, for example, about topics you're interested in, and to research things that truly mean something to you. Find a cause to be passionate about, then share it and teach it to others. The role of social networking in the learning process is just that. The learning process means, part of the learning process is to encounter topics that interest you and to tell the world about them. And that all fits into communicating ideas, which is the competency that I feel so close to. Education to me goes beyond memorizing and taking notes, like I said earlier. Education, your education, is your opportunity to identify yourself and where you stand in the world. And the applications of social networking in that are truly endless. At AGLA, the internet is tantamount to the curriculum. All our academic advisors use online resources such as Khan Academy, Edmodo, and even Tumblr. The purpose of this is to prepare students to encounter and face the global competencies with a readiness in the real world. But for a moment, let's avoid all this good stuff, because we need to peel back the layer of what it should be and find out what it currently is. Our efforts have been somewhat successful. Kids are on their computers and phones every day. They tweet, they use Facebook, and they Instagram random screenshots of their iPhone. But at a smaller scale and through a much larger lens, our efforts are really unsuccessful. There was a study recently that observed the habits of Googlers, of students doing research on Google. The main conclusion that they reached through that study was that students are unable to differentiate reliable sources from unreliable ones on Google. And what most students don't know is that Google offers several methods and offers an advanced search through which you can limit your results to academic journals, newspaper articles, and college-level resources. So a simple website like Google has gone completely wrong. And the scary part is that we all use Google every day. If you want to find a recipe for gluten-free cookies, you would Google it. Or if you don't even know what gluten-free means, you'd Google it. So you Google everything, and you probably don't even realize it. But the thing is that Googling, as we call it, is an ill-defined term. And there's no one to blame for that but us. So there's a huge misconception. There's a huge misconception. Stuck to the podium. There's a huge misconception in the way we perceive learning, especially in youth. And so the question is how to fix it. And that's hard to answer. As educators, and that doesn't just mean teachers, we have to be aware of the tools that we can find on the internet and the potential of those tools. Only after we fully understand that can we continue to teach it to the youth and to the students. Wikipedia and Google, for example, are organizations that have gone to great lengths to support the usage of technology and the internet in youth and in schooling and education. But those efforts have gone to little impact, as we've observed today. So near the start of this, I said that I believe social networking can have a pivotal role in the learning process. That statement should now hopefully have a new meaning to you. Social networking at its core is connecting with the world and the people around you. Facebook, Khan Academy, Edmodo, Tumblr, Twitter, Flickr, StumbleUpon, YouTube, those are a few of the major social networks. Khan Academy, Edmodo, and Quizlet are three of the ones that focus exclusively on education. And to make the list even bigger, we have LinkedIn, Instagram, Google, Reddit, Digo, Ning, and the Stack Exchange Q&A network. And if there are names in here that you haven't heard before, that's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm here to teach you so that you can understand the environment of the internet, because that's another step to be taken. You need to understand it. All the efforts that need to be made must coexist seamlessly for this to work. The way I want to make that work is by starting an organization that encourages students to find their passion through the learning process and through their education. Otherwise, we'd have no incentive to learn without studying topics that interest us. Students are already on Facebook and on Twitter, which is good, but it's not significant yet. Social networking offers the important power to communicate, and this is essential in the learning process, as you'll find out in a little bit and as you've already heard. Kids my age, students my age, have access to communities of millions of people right at their fingertips. So all you need to do is speak up. All you need to do is start talking about what you know and what you've learned. Communicate what you know, because that's the idea behind communicating ideas, to be able to successfully reflect what you know and pass it on. And to make your voice heard is a skill that's going to be extremely valuable to you in your adult life, as you will always, in every situation, have the need to communicate. So, I believe we can change the way things are going. It's going to take some effort, but it's entirely worth it. My goal right now is to empower my fellow youth and encourage them to find themselves through education and the internet. I encourage you to do the same for the sake of the future of education. Thank you.